Welcome to the final devlog for this little side showcase project that I decided to do. As you can see, I did not finish, so I ended up just showing like the Tetris game that I made last year. But I thought I'd do a little post-mortem, kind of lessons learned, things I can do better in the future, and lay out kind of a game plan for my next projects. So, as you can see, I didn't get anywhere near as far as I wanted to. I didn't even get the 3D models for the frigates down below, let alone the AI working for the flying saucers or the frigates, anything for that matter. My first lesson learned here is scope. Um, my scope I don't think was too terrible. I designed it in a way that I could cut scope if I needed to, and in a way that all kind of worked out. Like I had ideas for this to be like a mercenary type thing with like an overworld, and I figured I could just cut that. I didn't have like a lot of hope that I would get far enough for that kind of stuff, and I absolutely didn't. But so I had no problem like cutting that kind of stuff. I figured I'd just turn this into more of like, I don't know, an action roguelike or something like that. The plan was to still get money every time you killed an enemy, and then have like, I don't know, like a carrier at each end of the arena. So like one over here, that's for bad guys, and then one over here, that's for me. And then I would earn money by blowing up these UFOs, and then come back to the carrier and I would purchase, I don't know, new ships, weapon upgrades, that kind of stuff. So that all would have been fine. I probably could have banged that out in a weekend, but instead of doing this in kind of a quick and dirty way, I really over engineered it. I had all this neat stuff in here for with like attribute effects, gameplay effects. I have code in here for like multiplayer if I wanted to expand it. And when you're just trying to put together a prototype, that kind of stuff is just not necessary. There's plenty of time if you're working on like a long project, but under a time crunch where you're just kind of trying to put together a prototype and a proof of concept, um, it's not the time for that kind of stuff. So once you prove your concept, I think then it's time to go back and rewrite everything. But to get this little prototype together, I could have had all of this done. Everything that I wanted with these UFOs flying around, I could have had all that done. But instead, I spent so much time like learning new stuff with multiplayer. Multiplayer especially is what kind of sent me down a rabbit hole that ultimately didn't end up being productive. Um, I mean, I learned a lot, so I can't say it was wasted time, but for what I was trying to accomplish here, it was a waste of time. So that's the first lesson is scope. Time management being lesson number two. I planned this project like I would have full weekends, like all day, every day, like Saturday and Sunday for 8 weeks, and I just didn't have that time. I had personal things on the weekends, and so just like being able to crunch out 10 plus hours a day for 4 weeks or 8 weeks in a row, it's just not practical. It was never going to happen. And then, I thought I'd have more time in the evenings to work on this, which I did have time. What I didn't have was the energy. I was way over ambitious with how much energy I'd actually have. Things got really busy at work, and then in the evenings, I just did not feel like writing any more code. So, spending all day working as a corporate software engineer and then like thinking, oh yeah, I'll bang out like 4 more hours on my passion projects on the side. Not realistic, just not realistic at all. So time more than scope was the issue here. I think if I took another week off, I took about a week of vacation time right before the showcase. I think if I took a second week off, I think I would have at least gotten the minimum viable product completed. I would have had these flying saucers moving around. I didn't have like crazy plans for the AI. They were mostly just gonna like fly to a random point. Um, if the player got within like an engagement range, it would peel off and follow you. But if you escaped it, it would just go back to a kind of a patrolling route. So I didn't have like huge ambitions for the AI. They would just kind of be flying around, and then I'd have spawners um, that would spawn ships increasingly more often. So I give it another week, I could have easily gotten all that stuff done. Instead, I spent all this time working on like attributes. There's so many things that I don't even have showing on the UI. I have like an armor system behind the scenes here. There are shields involved, which I don't have any like graphics showing. Um, but yeah, so there's like shields, there's armor, there's an energy system. That I have the beginnings of it are there. But like shooting and stuff, I was gonna have boosting and shooting and dodging take energy, and the energy is there and it's respawning and all that kind of stuff. But I don't actually have it being used as a resource from like getting taken every time I fire a bullet or anything like that. So yeah, I have all this stuff in the background that the user can't even see because I didn't even have time to finish up the UI. The UI itself, everything is working for what I have. Let me stop the game here. So if I go into my blueprints here, oh yeah, my I have everything ragdolling, but I didn't have the physics worked out, so I get warnings every time I blow up a ship because the ragdoll doesn't work. But anyway, let's go. So I have test effect actor 2, I think. I think this one subtracts health. What is the gameplay effect? Well, let's just look for it. All right, where did I put that thing? All right, new plan. I'm gonna drag it over here. Uh, so I have one for gaining health and one for losing health. I think 4,000. Yeah. Let's play. So, I have everything in place where, like, if the player takes damage. Okay, I lied. One of these. Maybe they're both adding health. No, that one did it. I just reduced the amount of damage. But yeah, so this is what each bullet does, is like 10 damage, and this is the effects actor that I'm using. So yeah, all that is working. All of it's working with like delegates and things like that. So everything is, encapsulated properly, all that kind of stuff. Uh, all that's working and it's showing up on the UI. I just didn't have time to build out the UI for like the shields and all that stuff too. But it's there. So stuff that the user can't see and isn't even knowing that they're engaging with while they're playing. It's all behind the scenes. But what you can see is me shooting ships and I'm dying and everything. So I should have spent more time and effort on like AI and just worried about the engineering aspect of it more later. But since it is like my job in real life, I tend to get stuck on the engineering aspect of it and less on like finishing the project. But okay, so before I ramble too much longer, the lessons learned, my game plan going forward. So I needed more reusable code. I have plenty of reusable code, but it's in other projects. So it's reusable code, but it's not in a reusable format. So I spent a lot of time messing around trying to get code from another project uh, ripped out of it there and then put the reusable stuff into a format that was generic enough for me to actually reuse it. As an action plan, I think the next thing I'm going to do, the next project, is I'm going to make a template project. It's going to have all the attribute sets and gameplay effects and potentially multiplayer set up in it. And then I'm going to be able to use that as like a base for future projects. And that will definitely speed up my efficiency when it comes to things for like game jams or anything else that I plan on doing, another showcase or what have you. That's what I'm going to be doing going forward. There's going to be a series of tutorials, and at the end of which each tutorial is going to be a bite-sized piece covering one subject that is going to be a part of the template. And by the end of it, I'm going to have a template that I'm going to use for future projects. So that's my game plan. That's my biggest lesson learned is get your reusable code ducks in a row before you need them. But with that, I'm going to sign off. I hope you enjoyed this video. I haven't decided if I'm going to work on this project anymore, but I will see you in the next one.